Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining me today. Certainly our hearts are heavy as we watch what is occurring in Colorado. Certainly what appears to be absolutely senseless, and understanding that that could have been anywhere in this country. Further, that you had a first responder, somebody who came to work wearing a uniform every day. Where other people were running away from the danger, he ran to the danger, and he paid the ultimate sacrifice. So our thoughts and prayers go out to this officer, his department and co-workers, and then of course all the families that were victimized either physically or emotionally, as they continue to try to make sense of the senselessness. Further, last night, I understand we had 2 shootings in our community that appear to have some domestic qualities about them. The chief is here as the officers continue to work through that. Not much information is known or could be publicly made known at this moment, and so I'll leave that to the chief to determine that. Thirdly, I want to continue to express my thoughts and support to members of Savannah's Asian and Pacific Islander community as they understandably feel victimized by hate-filled actions across this country. As I continue to communicate with those our citizens, our friends and our neighbors of Asian and Pacific Island descent, I assure you and I assure them that the city of Savannah will not tolerate this type of behavior. Hate is wrong, and hate-filled actions are illegal. St. Patrick's Day has come and gone, and thankfully we are still here. We know that spring is always a very busy time for us and for our businesses, hospitality, and tourism businesses. Over the past week, the Savannah Police Department has been quite busy. They made more than 90 arrests, wrote more than 400 citations, conducted alcohol checks at more than 100 businesses, and handed out nearly 30,000 masks. Savannah Police Department's Alcohol Beverage Compliance Unit conducted checks at 133 alcohol selling establishments, 55 of which received at least 1 citation. It is important that businesses follow the law. With the Governor's Office of Highway Safety and other law enforcement agencies' assistance, Savannah Police Department's traffic unit conducted multiple DUI checkpoints and safety operations throughout the city, which resulted in 71 DUI arrests, 14 drug arrests, 6 felony arrests, 1 fugitive arrest, and 466 citations. Officials and officers working in the downtown area handed out an estimated 27,000 masks and issued 4 mask ordinance citations. So it's 4. Again, our goal in this is to gain compliance and not to be punitive. We will offer a mask. If you refuse to wear one, then you'll be cited. And I appreciate the city manager, Michael Brown, my deputy assistant, Marty Johnston, Chief Mentor, the Savannah Police Department, our city attorney, Bates Lovett, and the entire group of Team Savannah who either worked or were on call to help us with our COVID response last week. We want locals and visitors to enjoy our city safely, and we know that wearing a mask, washing hands, and watching your distance are the best ways to make that happen. Savannah's first drive-through mass vaccination center is now open at the Gulfstream campus, and as you all know, Governor Kemp and I on last Thursday toured the site, and again, we have to get people out to the site. Those eligible can get a vaccine Tuesday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m., and you no longer need to schedule an appointment in advance to get a shot. GEMA officials ask that if you anticipate the process taking a few extra moments, if you do not register beforehand. So it's going to take a couple more minutes. If you still want to schedule an appointment, you can go online to myvaccinegeorgia.com, myvaccinegeorgia.com. Even if you are not currently eligible to receive the vaccine, you can pre-register to make sure that you're already on the list when it's your turn. And free transportation to the site is available to those without a way to get there. You can call 912-856-4563, 912-856-4563, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to reserve a free ride. Ride reservations must be made by 3 p.m. the day before you get your shot. ADA accessible vans and buses are available for those that need them. Thanks to Savannah State University, Chatham Area Transit, Savannah College of Art and Design, Isle of Hope United Methodist Church, Compassion Christian Church, White Bluff United Methodist Church, Connection Church, and the Salvation Army of Savannah for helping make these needed rides possible. If you're looking for a COVID-19 vaccine appointment at a pharmacy or local health department, visit dph.georgia.gov, dph.georgia.gov, and click on COVID-19 vaccine. And you will see options to register for an appointment at several major pharmacies like Walgreens and Walmart, and also find local providers. I'm proud to announce that I have been vaccinated, at least one. I took it like a champ. I just manned up and I just did it. I manned up and I did it. And so I got a first shot. I took ibuprofen, and I mean, very little soreness, no side effects. And I took the vaccine because A, I was eligible, and B, because I want to be here. And so I'm encouraging people to do it because you want to be here. That you're just tired of going through all of this stuff. And we have to get beyond this. I'm tired of this mask, but we're going to wear them until we get to herd immunity. So I'm asking Savannahians, if you've taken a shot, one or both, to let's post your pictures on social media. And this is new for them, so get ready. And I want you to use the hashtags VAX, V-A-X, Savannah, VAX up Savannah, V-A-X, U-P, S-A-V-A-N-N-A-H. VAX, V-A-X, U-P, Savannah, and then hashtag Savannah Strong. And we want you to post your pictures, particularly if you have a picture of you being vaccinated. We have to really rely on our neighbors, letting other neighbors know that it's okay. I was on MSNBC yesterday with the national press marveling that we had a mass vaccination site here in Georgia, here in Savannah, Chatham County, and yet, 200 people show up on a day when they can do literally over 1,000 people. And so again, we have to ramp up, and so this is a part of our ramping up. Backs up Savannah, and then Savannah Strong. So please, I'll be posting my digitally doctored picture today. I'll try to get the look off of my face, but just again, the attorney authorized me to say, I was a champ, I did it. So as of today, our current infection rate of 127 per 100,000 still indicates significant community spread, and is still well beyond the governor's current threshold of 100 for mass mandates. Our current 7-day rolling average of new cases is 46.4. And so we will see soon what the effect of the past 2 weeks will have on our infection rate. Depending on the calculation of our exposure for the last 2 weekends, and in consultation with our public health partners, we will determine our path forward. And that's to include the opening of public playgrounds and play spaces, and permitting events up to 50 socially distanced mass people. And again, all of that depends on what our numbers say in the coming days. More on that next week. Depending on the results of those calculations, the city manager will soon announce a plan to incrementally return city staff back to city offices on a full-time basis and to expand city operations again and only following the science. Savannah's mask mandate will remain in place until further notice. The Mediation Center of Coastal Georgia is partnering with the Economic Opportunity Authority, the United Way of the Coastal Empire, and Georgia Legal Services to offer free mediations for private, non-subsidized landlord-tenant cases in Savannah and Chatham County. The Mediation Center and community partners anticipate landlord-tenant mediation can resolve COVID-related disputes without initiating eviction proceedings. The landlord and tenant must both agree to mediate, and the free sessions are happening now and through April the 1st. You can request a mediation at mediationsavannah.com/landlord-tenant, mediationsavannah.com/landlord-tenant. If you need help paying your rent or utilities, the Chatham County Emergency Rental Assistance Program provides assistance to qualified recipients. The fund helps tenants to pay up to 3 months of past due balances for rent or utility bills obtained from March of 2020 to now. The loss of income must be directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic. To learn more about the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, you can contact the United Way at 211 or uwce.org/CCERA, and you can reach the EOA at 912-438-8077. Last Wednesday, we broke ground on the Savannah Convention Center expansion. Once the construction is complete, it will be the 72nd largest convention center in the country, and it will allow the city to attract more meetings, special events, and, of course, visitors. That means more jobs for our residents and more revenue for our local economy. The Construction Education Foundation of Georgia's Construction Ready program is expanding to Savannah, and registration is open now if you're ready to start a new career. This free 20-day construction education class will teach needed skills to begin a construction career, provide trainees with required credentials, and employment. So understanding the need to wait for our economy to recover, in the resolution, it specifies that it would not take effect until January 2022. And I will tell you that this is a very intricate agreement because it requires partners to agree beyond the city of Savannah. And so this is something that has been talked about for years, have been worked on for years, and we finally have gotten to this point where we have everybody not getting everything they wanted, but everybody getting something that they wanted. And so I just think that we need to go ahead and pass it. I understand something has been dropped for Thunderbolt, and if Thunderbolt can pass, surely Savannah can pass. That's all I got to say about that. I do thank Representative Stevens and the members of the delegation and some who have supported our city and this endeavor. They've already signed on or said they would to help us, to help our citizens during this critical and opportune time. The fact of the matter is that we're not going to get money from the state to do these capital projects. We certainly cannot lean on our citizens to get it done, but we all agree it needs to be done. I believe that local governments should make decisions locally, and I urge you and I urge our citizens to contact their representatives to express their concerns about legislating these types of precedents. The goal is local control is important to people locally. So that ends my prepared remarks, and I'll entertain any questions that you may have. And I see we have our A team here today, so everybody's in place.
I'll start. I just have one question. Hotel occupancy is supposed to be pretty high. I think 90. I saw maybe 95% again this weekend on Saturday. We don't have St. Patrick's weekend celebrations going on, so any comment on it still being, that successful?
Repeat the second part.
What was my second part? Hotel occupancy is high. We can't blame it or attribute it to St. Patrick's Day celebrations this weekend.
No, okay. Right. So the question is about occupancy being high, and we can't necessarily attribute it to St. Patrick's Day. We attribute it to Savannah. I mean, absent a pandemic, this is Savannah's time where the weather is absolutely beautiful. Later on this week, it'll be anticipated in the mid-80s. Other than the pollen, I mean, Savannah is the place to be. And so people will come here anyway. Now you have weary, pandemic-weary people that are now, some vaccinated, some deciding now to venture out. And Savannah makes perfect sense for a lot of reasons. It's not international. It's a comfortable drive from many places in the country. Now it's easily accessible by train and airplane. And so I think people are saying, hey, why not Savannah? And again, for us, that's a good thing. But for us, we have to also remain vigilant. One only has to look at Miami Beach over the weekend. That was an absolute mess. And I'm scared for that city once those numbers come out. I'm scared for the employees of these hotels and the hospitality employees that work there. When these folks go back to wherever they're from, and now, they're left with whatever is there. And so, again, we're open. And again, we still reserve the right to shut everything down if we feel the need to. We're not going to let it get to that point like that happened in Miami Beach.
A quick follow-up to that.
Sure.
Do you know if this is, well, I guess, what the increase of this is compared to last year during the pandemic or not?
Well, I think given this was I'm almost sure that given the context, we would be right after we had our first cases and our first deaths here. And so probably people were dialing back. The tourism people would know better. But again, I know that we're probably 90% for the first time in at least a year. And so consistently. So again, good news. Again, we work very hard with our folks, particularly our hoteliers, which is why part of the reason why we want this hotel motel tax passed, because we've worked with you to achieve the things you need to do. And so we need you to work with us to achieve the things that are important to the city. It has to be give and take. And so particularly as it relates to tourism. Citizens throughout the city of Savannah need to feel the benefit of tourism and not just jobs. They need to see the capital improvements, things that make their life easier every day. And that is generated by people coming here to visit. And they'll come in and they'll pay it. They pay it in every other hub city except Savannah. And I just don't understand what was so difficult about getting that passed. But, thank you.
Morning, Mr.
Good morning, ma'am.
So my only question is, you had touched on incrementally returning employees, and that's back to the building, correct?
To buildings.
Buildings, okay. Can you kind of expand on when we'll start seeing that and you know, what that process will look like?
So our question is about my comments about incrementally returning people back to buildings. And I'll say again, it all depends on the science. This was a natural benchmark, if you remember. I canceled all public permitting through March the 31st. We figured that the 2 St. Patrick weekends, and it's really 2 because the holiday was in the middle, that we would wait 2 weeks after that to kind of see what our bump was. You know, if it's marginal, we might be able to move forward to some incremental reestablishing some things. If it's not, then we'll leave things as they are. So I'm really going to try to wait till next week to see what our numbers look like. And again, if they're better, then I think, you know, we can reasonably reopen parks and playgrounds, start moving city staff back. Permitting, right now we permit up to 25, then maybe we can move to 50. So again, you know, we want to be easy. We want to, I think, to, you know, just reopen like that really shocks the ecosystem, if you will, and so we have to be very careful and very gradual about it.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Morning, ma'am. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back. A couple questions for you this morning. When you talk about those numbers from St. Patrick's Day as far as arrest citations, what is the timeline for those numbers?
That would have been from the Friday prior to St. Patrick's through the Sunday after, this past Sunday.
Okay, perfect. And those 4 citations that were given out for masks, were those people that officers or city employees were just asking them to put masks on and they flat out said no?
Well, again, generally, the chief probably could answer more about that. The way we have, and we've been criticized for it. People say, well, you give people a citation. No, I mean, and I participated in this process. Let's ask people. Sometimes people don't know. People, you know, I'm vaccinated, so I should be able to do this. Or, you know, well, didn't this happen? No, we want to make sure you're in the public space, you have to wear a mask. So we give them the opportunity. It's like you're not wearing a seatbelt. Put the seatbelt on. If you refuse to put the seatbelt on, now you have a willful violation of the law. And essentially, those citations, and again, the chief could probably speak more to it, I would suspect would be because somebody willfully said, I'm not putting on the mask, I'm not wearing the mask, after it was offered to them. At that point, they should have gotten it. They should have got a citation, and I support that.
And going back to the hotel motel tax, last week you were really hopeful. You were, honestly, to me, you were very excited, looking forward to hopefully getting this passed. How have your feelings changed over the past week looking at what's going on now?
I'm still hopeful. Again, I think the important thing is that, well, first, let me go back. I'm not going to do anything or engage in behavior that's illegal or unethical, and be very clear about that. To do anything, if that means that the bill doesn't pass, then it just doesn't pass. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that it's important to me for people to recognize what this is. This is not the city of Savannah in and of itself. Again, it requires the agreement and input of other partners, and unless everybody agrees, then there is no deal. There is no deal, there is no resolution to pass. So it's important to note, and you know, I'm really befuddled in a way because we have a resolution that, I mean, all council members, every single council member has been approached several times, met with several times about this. Everybody was extremely clear about what we were doing, what the process was, and we had a resolution that passed 6-3. We have 9 members on council, it passed 6-3. Then we had the agreement, which actually had the projects in them, and that passed 7-1. So, you know, to then turn around and have 4 say, well, we didn't agree with it. Well, it passed 7-1. And so the city manager correctly implemented the will of the council, which was exemplified through a public meeting in which the council voted in the public space. So, I mean, again, I was not privy to any of the other meetings. You know, again, as far as I was concerned, the council had spoken in the public space. A resolution had been passed, an agreement had been agreed on, and so that is what the city manager's role is to be able to do. You know, in the end, I mean, I'm not for being able to allocate money to people who cannot legally have it, as from what I was told. And again, you know, I mean, we're going to do things right and above board. And so, you know, I hope it passes. If it dies, it dies. The loss, though, will be for our city, because then people will say, well, what about this? And we need this, and what about this? Well, and to be honest with you, the fact is that really there will be no incentive for the hoteliers to come back next year and say, we agree with this. So, again, another missed opportunity. And, you know, you're afraid that you allow the minority in this to be able to drive that. So, you know, in the end, the city has done all that we can and what we're supposed to do. And, you know, it's up to our legislatures. But they're going to have to answer to say, well, you know, because that's my position. You know, we created an opportunity for these capital improvements of a sales product or sales tax related product or a tourism product to be able to occur. And the law is very clear about what those things are. So we'll see.
Something that's a little off topic, what's the latest on the city manager search?
We've selected a vendor on the city manager search. We have all met, to my understanding, at least virtually, with the vendor, Development Associates out of Durham, North Carolina. And so they are preparing a brochure that will hit the streets relatively soon, and then we start receiving applicants. So that process is full steam ahead.
And different vendor than last time, correct?
It is a different vendor than last time.
Last question to you before you coming back.
So you just come back with all these questions.
I know. Well, hey, they let you off easy today. I got to keep you thinking.
All right.
The mass vaccination site, there has been some rumblings in the community that anyone that's showing up is getting vaccinated. Have you heard that at all?
I've heard a variety of things. Again, this is not operated by the city. So we really, you know, all we hear is just rumors one way or another. All I know is that as of last week, it was 200 people. And the fact is we have Georgia Emergency Management, we have National Guard there. People are sitting there waiting to vaccinate us. We have vaccines that are appropriated for that site, and people are not there. So, you know, we got to take advantage of it. I am working with Gulfstream and Chatham County to be able to identify some sites closer in town for people that need that, who it's just too far. I mean, again, it's about 20 miles, but again, we did not choose that site. But Gulfstream has a very, very smooth operation out there. It's just a matter of getting to it. So we have buses now to get people to it. We'll create something in town for people, but in the end, get the vaccination, and that's what we need people to get. That's the message. Get the vaccination.
Final question for you, I promise. In your talks with the governor last week, are you hopeful that the eligibility for the vaccine will open up soon?
Yes, yes. And again, I think that the goal was that, you know, they open it up for educators and people in the education profession. And frankly, they were disappointed that the numbers were not there. And that could have been for a variety of reasons, because sometimes they might fall under a different category. So it's kind of hard to count. But, you know, the fact is, it's there, it's open. And again, our path forward is the vaccine. And until then, we wear a mask. I'm hoping that we can continue to lead in this area, but it really depends on people And that's part of the reason why I got it. I mean, you have to lead by example. Again, I became eligible, and so I got my shot. And I feel good. Thank you.
For sharing the brain today, she asked everything that
Wow.
I was
Whoa.
Accomplished.
Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Well, so, I think, again, so we have council meeting Thursday. Hopefully, we'll finish it the same day we started. If not, I'll have to bring a pillow to be able to get through it. But, again, today, I'm hoping we only have a couple of days this legislative session. And again, Representative Stevens and several of these legislatures said they supported it. And I just can't understand how Thunderbolt could pass and Savannah don't. I just can't get it. Now, Thunderbolt, our sister city that we love, they have short-term vacation rentals. I think that's probably part of the reason. But the fact of the matter is, it's the same purpose. And so in a time where we're getting less money from the state, and this is an opportunity for us to help ourselves, the majority of these hoteliers voted for it. And I don't see how the minority opinion has the loudest voices in the room. And, and I think that, this could, certainly damage that relationship that we've tried very hard to have with our hoteliers. Because people are saying, you're gaining, but then you're not giving back. This is an opportunity for you to give back, and you're not paying anything to give back. People are coming to Savannah anyway. And again, it's not till January 2022. So, I don't see what's so difficult about it, but, obviously we'll look and we'll find out who signed it and who didn't. And then, we'll, of course, in transparency, we'll make sure that our community knows that as well. May God bless you all. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing him on TV, and you're seeing him on Cable 7. He is the hardest working man in a blue uniform. He's the only man who wears 4 stars in our Savannah Police Department. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chief Roy Mentor. Give it up for him. Give it up for him. Yes. Yes. Go, Chief. Be nice.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning, Chief.
All right, who's first?
Just really quick, any additional details that you might be able to share about last night's incidents?
Not right now. What I can tell you is the detectives are still working on both of those shootings, and they're following up on some significant leads for both of those investigations.
Are there any details, Chief, that you can give us about those citations that were given out for masks?
Yeah, what I can tell you is we stressed to officers that we wanted them to follow what we call the 3 E's: education, engagement, and then enforcement. We wanted them to first go out and educate people about the mask ordinance, let them know that they needed to have a face mask on, engage them by providing individuals with a face mask. If the first 2 didn't work, then we made it very clear that we expected them to take enforcement action. I can tell you one that I was personally involved in was a gentleman I contacted down on River Street. I asked him 3 times to put on a face mask. I offered him a face mask 3 times. I told him if he did not put a face mask on, he was going to get a citation, and his response was, go ahead and write me a ticket. So he got a citation.
And how much of those citations were again?
It could be up to $500.
Hope it was worth it. Thank you.
So, Allie had asked a question about hotel occupancy, warm weather. We're still seeing tons of people here. We're still in a pandemic. Will you be less visible now that we're not, in a holiday weekend, or is it something that you're kind of taking as it comes and adjusting accordingly?
Well, we're going to continue to have a presence in the area, probably not as high of a presence as we've had the past couple of weekends, but we'll continue to monitor activity in the area and then shift staffing accordingly.
Do you know the difference, kind of the same question I asked Mayor Johnson, but the difference in between last year when the parade was canceled in terms of citations and enforcements given out compared to this year?
I haven't compared the numbers for the 2 years. I can tell you, obviously, we gave out a lot of masks that we didn't distribute last year, and of course, the citations for not wearing a mask weren't as high. Now, as far as some of the traffic citations and some of the citations issued by our ABC unit, I'd have to go back and look at those comparable numbers. All right, thanks, folks.